A series of infant deaths have been linked to excess arsenic and heavy metals discovered in infant formula. Reported deaths began to be exposed publicly through an October 7, 2010 report by Reuters News about a study released that showed a direct correlation to maternal diet and risk to newborns. The study prompted an FDA investigation that has yielded little conclusive consumer protection action. That is, until this past February, when a new House committee report was published. The effort of that study has launched a new outcry against officials under the Trump administration, yet the risk to families has been known, proven, and studied for over a decade with little to no corporate accountability. The initial alarm came from a 2010 health article, Prenatal Arsenic Exposure Quintuples Infant Death Risk, which focused on Bangladesh and the abnormally high infant mortality rate linked to arsenic in water wells. The article said that babies born to mothers with high levels of arsenic exposure are 5 times more likely to die before their first birthday than infants whose mothers who had the least exposure to the toxic material. The link to imported and locally grown rice and arsenic levels has been correlated far earlier, as studied in 2007, but a warning hadn't been released to the American public by the Food and Drug Administration until 2013, and then again revised in 2016. Just so you are aware, arsenic is a natural element which behaves like a metal. It is present in the environment both naturally and due to certain human activities. It has many different forms, and it can exist in inorganic and organic form. The link is again making headlines as the House Subcommittee on Economic and Consumer Policy and Oversight and Reform released their study on February 4, 2021, titled Baby Foods Are Tainted with Dangerous Levels of Arsenic, Lead, Cadmium, and Mercury. The only product warning involving baby formula was in September of 2020, involving an outbreak of bacteria. The Center for Disease Control issued a statement and guidelines to the public, as they had during a prior outbreak in 2011. In neither case was a recall mandated by the FDA or the CDC. As for heavy metal and arsenic contamination, the FDA quietly released their study findings in March 2020, citing the number of samples tested in 2018 that meets the FDA requirement's target of 100 parts per billion was 76%, compared to 36% of samples tested in 2011 to 2013. Both white rice and brown rice cereals showed improvement in meeting the 100 parts per billion level, but the improvement was greatest for white rice cereals, which tend to have lower levels of inorganic arsenic overall. The agency has published manufacturing guidelines, the latest being in August 2020, stipulating that manufacturing not exceed inorganic arsenic levels of 100 parts per billion for infant rice cereals. Meanwhile, the House Subcommittee's report states that Walmart, Campbell, and Sprout Organic Foods refused to cooperate with the committee's request for internal records. Nature, which manufactures under Happy Baby, Hain, Earth, Best Organic, and Beechnut and Gerber did respond, and all of their documents showed arsenic levels above the FDA guidelines, with some sampled ingredients topping 300 parts per billion. The committee report includes condemnation of these companies' inability to self-regulate. However, the FDA has directed all manufacturers to no more than 100 parts per billion as far back as 2016, and the U.S. Government Accountability Office, the Regulatory for Federal Operations, outlined regulations again in 2018, saying the GAO is making 5 recommendations, including that the FDA develop a timeline for updating its risk assessment and finalizing its draft guidance, and that the FDA and USDA develop a coordination mechanism for developing methods to detect foodborne contaminants, including arsenic. The issue here appears to be a lack of accountability. not publish regulatory guidelines. The House committee purpose is stated clearly in their report. Despite the well-known risks of harm to babies from toxic heavy metals, the FDA has not taken adequate steps to decrease their presence in baby food. FDA has not issued thresholds for the vast majority of toxic heavy metals in baby foods and does not require warning labels on any baby food products. Yet the committee cites the FDA's limits within their own report, the limits of 100 parts per billion. However, it is true that the FDA has not issued a citation, a warning letter, or an injunction against any company cited, and their actions actually steadily declined under the Trump administration. Once again, the companies cited in the committee report were Beechnut, Hain Celestial Group, which sells baby food products under the brand name of Earth Best Organic, Gerber, Walmart Incorporated, which sells baby food products through its private brand Parents' Choice, Sprout Foods Incorporated, which sells baby food under the name of Sprout Organic Foods, Campbell's Soup Company, which sells baby food products under the brand name of Plum Organics, Nurture Incorporated, which sells Happy Family Organics, including baby food products under the brand name Happy Baby. Major news outlets covered this issue on February 4th, 2021, when the report came out, nearly 4 months after the House committee began gathering information. One organization to highlight the seriousness of the risk was Food Safety News. This is a publication sponsored by Mercer Clark, a food safety law firm that specializes in claims against companies that are responsible for foodborne illness outbreaks. And Consumer Reports covered this issue in August of 2018 with an article called Heavy Metals in Baby Food, What You Need to Know. Consumer Reports safety team analyzed 50 national distributed packaged foods made for babies and toddlers, checking for cadmium, lead, mercury, and inorganic arsenic, the type most harmful to health. And annual sales of baby food now tops 53 billion and are projected to reach more than 76 billion by 2021. And that was according to the Zion Market Research. Consumer Reports then noted, and in prior work, that the FDA had not issued guidelines specific to baby food and these toxins for nearly 7 years. The most recent guidelines were finally issued again in August 2020 under FDA Rule 2006-D-1099. All of this was to address baby formula and arsenic levels. However, it does not cover other products that are made with brown rice and white rice. These guidelines also come with a handy FDA disclaimer that basically says that the Food and Drug Administration is providing these guidelines, and it does not establish any rights for any person and is not binding to the FDA or the public. You can use alternative facts if it satisfies the requirement and the applicable statutes and regulations. To discuss an alternative approach, contact the FDA staff responsible. Doesn't sound very confidence building, does it? Prior to this, the FDA merely published studies from 2016 outlining cancer risks for consumers for all products made with rice which contain arsenic, and data obtained by scientists from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, which all occurred under the Obama administration. The Trump administration appears to have declined in limiting accountability measures, but the overall lack of accountability for arsenic levels in consumer products began in 2010 and continues to the present day. The risk to families was understood and evident under the Obama administration, as cited by the same sources used in the House report, as well as the FDA's own studies. All that remains now is for members of Congress and the FDA to finally take action based on the science that is already in their possession. Reporting for DLF, I'm Carrie Barber.